Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome back to Tag Tuesday. Today I'm here to do the middle grade book tag. I was tagged by Christy Luis of Dostoevsky in Space, and I'll leave a link to her video down below. Please check out her channel. What a lovely, enthusiastic, upbeat, positive human being she is. And you should all go check out her video. This video was originally created by Amanda at the Curly Reader, I believe, and I'll leave a link to her channel down below as well. Well, middle grade. It was interesting to be tagged in this. I really appreciate Christy for tagging me, but you know, I'm on the downward slope of middle age, so middle grade reading is not really something I've done for a long time, but I have tried to make my answers things other than Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, but well, it's proved to be difficult. So I'm not sure how long this will take. So prompt number one is, what is the last middle grade book you read? Well, that is, in fact, a Harry Potter book. And it was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Those books were coming out when my kids were still kind of in their early mid-teens, and we used to do, what lots of families did, and we went out to the bookstore or a place that was selling them and stood in line at midnight and bought multiple copies of the books because, God forbid, everybody got to have their own. And reading those books was fun. My wife was an elementary school teacher, principal, and she loved the books too. So it was kind of a cool family reading thing. And I do actually miss that. I know that J.K. Rowling has come in for a lot of criticism about various things lately, but I don't think you can criticize or I don't think you can detract from the amount of reading she inspired and the amount of kind of family reading that came about from those books. Prompt number two is, what is a middle grade book someone read to you as a child? Christy mentioned, I think, Where the Red Fern Grows in her video, and that certainly would have been one of those. So I went in a different direction. And I remember my fifth grade teacher, I believe, Mrs. Robbins, reading The Bronze Bow to us in class and just being fascinated and just loving to have that time every day in class where the teacher would just read us a book and we could just sit there and kind of get lost in the book. And I hope they still do that in schools. I don't know, with things that are far more important, of course, like standardized testing, that maybe those things have, sorry Zelda, that maybe those things have gone out the window, but hopefully not. Prompt number three is, what was your favorite middle grade book as a child? That is a book I've mentioned on this channel before. It was called Call It Courage, and it's about a young Polynesian boy who gets blown off course and ends up on an island, a deserted island of the Pacific, all by himself, and he has to learn how to survive. And I think the book comes in around, I want to say it's like 110 pages, and I probably read that book 20 or 30 times. I just loved it. There's a story about him going boar hunting and being chased, and it's just a really great book, and I loved that book as a kid. Prompt number four, what is your favorite middle grade book as an adult? Well, I'm going to have to say The Hobbit. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, but a lot of the books I'm probably going to talk about here are things that seem middle grade now that weren't really written with the intention of being middle grade necessarily, even though I think The Hobbit kind of clearly has kind of that the kind of stories, fantasy story you tell a child element to it, or a young adult element, not a young adult, but a middle grade student about it. I just love The Hobbit as a kid. I love the old, what was it, Rankin and Bass Hobbit cartoon, as cheesy as that was. I used to have a poster of that kind of cartoon Bilbo Baggins on the back of the door to my bedroom. It was just, The Hobbit was that book when I was a kid, and it's probably still that book now. If I were to go back and reread something, I probably would, from that time period, I'd probably start with The Hobbit. And then, who's your favorite middle grade author? Well, because The Hobbit was such a big deal in my life and Lord of the Rings such a big deal in my life, I'm just going to say J.R.R. Tolkien. What book do you think should be required reading in school? The book I think that should be required reading in school is The Man Who Planted Trees. And the reason for that is that I just think it's really inspirational. It's about a man who, in the wake and devastation of modernization and industrialization, and then the devastation of World War I, goes around just planting trees in France. And he plants all different kinds of trees depending on where those trees grow best. And he's kind of just out there planting trees, and in the end, there are whole forests that exist that exist solely because of him. And I just think it's a great example of how, one person's kind of commitment to a cause, to an idea, can have a real impact on the world moving forward. So I really like that book. Prompt number, whatever this is what is your favorite middle grade book cover? That would be the cover for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I just love that kind of dark cover with the green lighting. I just really think that kind of captures a lot about the book, and I love that. And then, not surprisingly, what is your favorite middle grade book to screen adaptation? And again, it's a Harry Potter movie, and I'm going to go with what is the absolute best of all the Harry Potter movies, and that's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That is just a really well-made movie. I like the way, with the exception of The Goblet of Fire, I really like the way all the movies were directed. I like the fact that Chris Columbus directed the first two, and he did a really good job of kind of, I think, capturing the childlike imagination, the childlike aspects of those first two books, even though they dealt with fairly serious subjects. But when we moved on to the third book, I believe the director is Alfonso Cuarón. When we moved on to the third book, you needed that transition to kind of young adulthood. And that movie is really, I think, well made and fairly brilliantly shot. And I think it kind of stands out, even if you're not a Harry Potter fan. I think it kind of stands out as a movie that is shot differently and is done really well. I don't remember how faithful it actually is to the book, but I do think it's the best middle grade to screen adaptation I've ever seen. Anyway, there you go. I warned you that a lot of my answers would be related to Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings. Sorry about that, Christy. Don't do a lot of middle grade reading, and it was fun to do this tag. So thanks again for tagging me, Christy, and look forward to your comments in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.